Okay, welcome to our Shir. We are in Maseches Shabbos. Daf Kuf He Amud Aleph is today's page. We are following the Deer Shoe schedule, and basically we're still at the very, very end of Kuf Daled Amud Beis, finishing off with the malacha of Ksiva, writing. One is not allowed to write two letters on Shabbos, and if yes, he's chayev. Even one letter is not allowed, but one letter is mi d'Rabbanan, is half a or possibly midoraisa, half a shir. But whatever the case may be, we're now learning another halacha. Tana. Oh, thank you very much. Tana. Niskamen lichtov ois achas. The person had in mind to write one letter, and really instead of one letter, all of a sudden came out that two letters are there instead of one. Chayev is chayev on writing two letters, even though he meant only to write one, but he wrote two, then he's chayev, okay? He's chayev, because at the end of the day, the result is those two letters. We probably assume it's not misasek, it's not a complete fluke, right? He's probably happy with those letters. Otherwise, it'd be misasek if you have the completely different result from what you planned. But you meant one, and boom, there are two. Soon we're going to see how such a thing can happen. He's chayev, chayev and koisev. Two letters are there. Some say tnan, some say tanya. It's either mishnah or brisa. That in such a case it says potu. The very same case it says you meant one, and boom, and then there were two. So you are potur. It's a steer in the brises. And it says the Gemara lo kasha. It's not difficult. Ha de bai ziyuni, ha de lo bai ziyuni. We're talking here about the letter ches with the two zines, as we already said before. Ches consists, from two zines connected on top. Every zine, any one of the letters shatnez gets, shin, ein, tes, nun, zayin, gimel, and tzadi, they need a ziyun. A ziyun means like a kishut. There's some kind of embellishment at the top of it. There's like a crown. Top of the letter, there's a crown with a little tagin, three little, like sticks. Looks like a crane of a bird, lahavdil. One to the left, to the right, to the middle. And the zayin requires that to be a kosher letter. And therefore, if those zines, you really wanted to write ches, and you just flunked, you missed the middle roof between them. So, oops, instead of ches, you have two zines. So now, it's not that you wanted the zines l'chatchila, you're happy with them b'di'evid. If the zines already before you started, or however that is, there are ziyunim, there are those required crowns on each one, then you have a really good result. And the way I understood it, so it overrides the fact it wasn't a kavanah l'chatchila, but you came out with real super perfect two zines. And at the end of the day, if you want that, you're chayev. But she'enken, if those two zines are without ziyun, so it's possible for Sefer Torah. It's not kosher. I'm not sure if me'akiv or not, but definitely not what you want. So if you meant to write ches, and even so, the ma'isa, you didn't do the ma'isa you wanted. You wanted to write ches. You missed the gag, and you only have zines. And even those zines are not such great shakes. Even the result, which is chatchila not your best shot, is without the required ziyunim. Then in a chanami you're potter, because side by side, hen mitzad the ma'isa, your kavana, hen mitzad the tetzah. Nothing's really exciting here, so you're potter. I'm trying to say that if you bedavka write zayin, trying to say it's a bit strange because if I write the word I don't know zazu, zazim on Shabbos, of course I'm chayiv, as far as I know. Even though there's no, it's not writing like stam. Even writing which is not ksiva stam chayiv on, right? If that's my kavana, and I'll prove it to you very, very clearly. What did we see in the first Mishnah, which we haven't seen together? The Mishnah says any language. The last time I checked, the Sefer Torah cannot be written in English. Maybe that's the latest fashion. Are you allowed to write in English, God bless America? Controversial, but you can't write it on Shabbos, right? You can't, not even G-O, nothing, even though it's English, right? So it's not like we always require Ksiva Stam. But in such a case, l'chatchila, my writing wasn't so good, and we're talking about a sofer, it wasn't my kavana to begin with, plus the result is not perfect, is not the result required for Sefer Torah, those two shortcomings make it already potter. That's too much to tolerate already. and then you're a potter. Kach nirdi. That's what I understand. I know there's a lot of discussions here. I hope I'm not making a mistake. Kosav oisachas notrikon agadita time. Agadita lovers. Here is your big moment. Kosav oisachas notrikon. Abishub ben Miser Michayev v'chomim poitrin. A person wrote one letter. Notrikon means Rosh Tevis, initials, acronyms, or sometimes one letter is an initial, right? I gave an example. You write Reish with a little apostrophe, the chupchik, it means Reb. Yeah, it's one letter representing an entire word. Are you chayiv? Says Rabbi Shimon B'Seira, yes, because it represents an entire word. It's as if you wrote the whole word. And Chacham say, no, you only wrote one letter. And the chupchikol is not a letter. So they say, it's also, but you potter. Amar b'yochanan. What? The little dot line, that little line next to the resh. Yeah? Like an apostrophe kind of. What? Reb, how do you write Reb? Resh and a little line next to it, right? The Gemara is full of those. Because Amar b'yochanan mishum Rabbi Yossi ben Zimra. Says Rabbi Yochanan, quoting Rabbi Yossi ben Zimra, Minayin aloshan trikon min Torah. Where do you find in the Torah itself the concept of Rosh Tevis? Some words in the Torah are just words, like all the holy words of the Torah, but apparently Chazal have a Mesorah that those words, each word actually contains an entire, initials of other words, acronyms of other words. Let's see. Shenemar, example number 1, Ki av hamon goyim nesaticha. Yeah. Hashem tells Avraham, you are Avraham, right? Yeah, so Avham, but then it says Avhamon. I saw the Meforshim say, so Avraham should have been called Avramon, or, right? You're Avhamon Goim, you are the Av, the father of many, many Goim, and your name is Avram. So there's something extra here, right? There's an extra message which we have to discover, to explore. And therefore, we're learning here, Rosh Tevis. Av nesaticha, Aleph Beis Hey Mem Vav Nun, Av Hamon. Av nesaticha leumois. Hashem told Avram, you are the father of all nations, right? Ishmael, Yitzchak, Esav, they're all from Avram, right? Even today, they call it the Abrahamic religions, or such a term. Yeah. Bochor nesaticha ba'umos. You are the chosen one from everybody. Avram Avinu was chosen. Obviously, he followed Hashem when nobody else did. Now, Hamoin, right? The word Hamoin is now divided to 4. Chaviv nesaticha b'umos. As we saw already before, previously, Hey and Ches are halachically interchangeable. They're both Ha, Ch. They're both from the throat, and also similar in style. In Hey and Ches. So Chaviv nesaticha b'umos. You are the beloved one amongst the nations. Melech nesaticha l'umos. Rashi said, even they, the goyim of Hebron, when he buried Marsa Machpelah, they said, Nesi Elokim ata betochenu. Even the goyim back then already realized he was a melech. It says Avram was respected by all goyim. That's why a lot of people were influenced by him. He was rich and a big tzaddik, very influential. He had businesses with Melochim. He was a king. Amongst all, was respectable. Vosik nesaticha be'umois. So I saw the Maharsha. What's Vosik? In modern Hebrew, Vosik means that he's a veteran. He's been in the job for a long time. So Vosik says, Rashi, listen, I believe the Maharsha says, Vosik, Adam Onav u'mechabev mitzvos. I think it's Maharsha, somebody else, remember the Loshen. Onav mechabev mitzvos. It's a humble person who loves mitzvahs. That's Avraham Avinu for you. That's Vosik. A humble who loves mitzvahs is called Vosik. Vatik. Vosik yemunah. Vasikin, people who love mitzvahs. Very good. Thank you. You go to Vasikin in Breslov, right? Vosik is a person, Vasikin, they love mitzvahs. Exactly. Thank you. Now, Ne'eman, Nesaticha la'umois, you're the one who are Ne'eman, you're the one who is loyal. You're the one who is loyal to Hashem amongst the umois. Rabbi Yochanan Didei Omar, Rabbi Yochanan himself found a different Rosh Tevis in the Torah. He says, Anoichi, and we're talking about the first word in Aseret Dibros. Anoichi is Noitrikoin, Rosh Tevis, Aleph, Nun, Chaf, Yud. What's that? Ano nafshi ksivas yehivas. I myself, says Hashem, Ani nafshi. I myself wrote it and gave it. In other words, we don't understand what these things mean. Maybe you do. But that opinion I saw in Meforshim, they say that opinion holds Hashem himself, Kilu, carved in the letters in the Torah. I myself wrote it. Kil Hashem has personal investment. He wrote the Torah. Whatever that means, direct power from Hashem wrote each and every letter in the Torah, clearly in the Sefer Dibros. Okay. Now, Rabbanan say that it's a little bit more removed. Amira ne'ima ksiva yehiva, meaning again anoichi, the pleasant word, the pleasant set, the pleasant utterance, the dibur, the pleasant amira is what wrote it, and then Hashem gave it, which means it wasn't Hashem's himself, but Hashem saying the words of Hashem carved in the letters. I remember reading once the whole thing about it. Yeah, when Hashem says Anoichi, there were letters of fires that flew all over, like lahavdil, very pyrotechnical show, lahavdil, like real pyrotechnics. Of course, all ruchni, and then it settled in the luchos. It went flying, boom. Anoichi, I'd love to be there. I was there, I just forgot. Yeah, Anoichi. So the letters, the dibur, is what actually created the luchos. That's what says the amira. The amira is what wrote it. Ikadamri. Some say Anoichi lemafrea. They learn the same word backwards, back to front. Yehiva ksiva ne'emonin amarea. The one that's written and given ne'emonin amarea. It doesn't talk about Hashem. It talks about the Torah. Yeah, we're focusing on the Torah. Yehiva ksiva, the one that was given to us by Hashem, written by Hashem, ne'emonin amarea. It's imros, the sayings, the words of the Torah are ne'emonim, are faithful, are real and true. Okay, very nice. Dever Rabbi Nosson Amri. Rabbi Nosson in the yeshiva of Nosson said the following. Excuse me. Ki yorat derech lenegdi. The Malach is giving toichocho to Mr. Balaam, to Bilam, that the chamor, yeah, the female donkey, she yorat haderech lenegdi. Yeah, the word yorat is very strange. Yeah, it has no, as far as I know, ein lo ach b'mikra, no other letter, no other word like that in the Torah. So what did the Malach say, praising the donkey over Bilam, that the donkey was yorat, yorah roasa notesa. She feared, she saw, and she inclined, she basically veered off from the road. She veered away, right? In other words, the chamor is better than you, Mr. Bilam. At least she saw the malach. She had Yiras Shamayim, the animal, and she went sidewise. And I'm sorry that your leg is hurting you now, and you're lame. But she did the right thing. She wanted to avoid a mid-air collision there, so she went out. And yorat, the simple shot of yorat, is also like retet. You should know. What's retet in the smartphone, in the telephone? Yeah, retet, yeah, is vibration. She was like vibrating from fear. Weiter. The Rabbi Shmuel Tana, Rabbi Shmuel's yeshiva, they say, Carmel, it says Carmel about the Chodosh. When you bring the Chodosh, you have to bring lechem koli the Carmel. You should not eat any kind of grains before, from the new grains before the second day of Pesach when we bring the Omer. And it says Carmel. What's Carmel? Kar Maleh. Again, combine, not exactly acronyms, but combination of two words. All kind of word games here. Kar Mole, which means when it's still fresh and full. Carmel means when the grains are fresh and big, and the kar is filling, the grain itself is filling the chaff. In other words, when it's very thin, like a thin person wearing big clothes, right? So it's like hanging on him. So when the chita is already all shriveled, yeah, you have shriveled chita, and the chaff, the skin or whatever is too big. Kar mole means the karim are the fields. Like in Rosh Hashanah, such a pasuk mention. What grows in the field, the kar fills the chaff, fills the whole space of the entire thing, and either this stage or the other, you're not allowed to eat that before the chodesh is brought. Now, Rav Acha bar Yaakov Amar, from the Novi, let's go now to the Novi. And now David HaMelech is closing accounts with many people before he dies, and he tells Shlomo HaMelech to punish all types of people. And he now talks about Shimi ben Gera. Shimi ben Gera was an Av Beis Din, pshi, white beard and a frock and a Hamburg. And he cursed David, mamish terribly. I think threw stones at him, really, really bad. Like, you know, the Mechoy, you know, it's all holy. Yeah, Mechoy. So now Mechoy from the type which is not within the Torah. And he now says, David HaMelech to Shlomo, make sure you deal with him. The whole story, not to leave Yerushalayim. There was a whole special treatment. And how does he define the wrongdoings of that man Shimi? He says, V'ukilelani, he cursed me, klala nimretzes. What's nimretzes? What are the synonyms? Excuse me. What's the initials of nimretzes? Nun mem reish tzaditav. It's basically telling you all the different things that they used to blame David for. David the Melech, such a tzaddik, till today suffers the people blame him, Rachmana litzlan and Hashem Shmo, the secular people. And it's part of his tzidkus that he's soivel yisurim. He's soivel yisurim for everybody else. Nimretzes, what are the things they blame David for? It's all Shimi ben Gera, he summed it all up. Noyefu, he's a noyef with who? Bathsheba. Right? They said it's Niyuf, although really it wasn't, because the husband died and retroactively she was not an Eshes Ish. Moyavihu is not Heavy Yichus. I don't accept his kids to school. Because why? Because he's not really Jewish. Why not Jewish? Because his ancestress, which is Rus, Moyavi, right? And what? You're not allowed to have Moyavi again. That's his Parsha. Why were they wrong? Moyavi cannot come into our nation, the male, not the female. And Moavis, a woman is allowed to marry into the nation if she's a Moabite convert. So it's fine, but people just wanted to blame him. They were not Mekabel. Now, Roitzeachu, he's a killer. He killed Uriah because he told Uriah to go to the front line, so he should die. The truth is, it was not Roitzeach because Uriah was a Mord B'Malchus. Gemara in Kiddushin. Gemara in Kiddushin says it was Mord B'Malchus. Yeah, he basically said to David, I'm not going to go on a day off and come home and be with my wife because my master Yoav told me, my master Yoav, I listen to his commands. He's my commander in the army, not you. Insinuating, Mord B'Malchus, he deserved to die. That's all. So all these things they blame David, but they're not true. Now, Tzoirehu is a Tzoirer, meaning he's a hater. Tzoirer means somebody who hates, like Tzoirer Yehudim. He used to always pursue people. Shaul of Shalom, it's very twisted. They pursued him. The Machlokes, people don't care who's right. Now, this unbelievable. Listen to this. Where did I see that? In one of the Sforim? To'eva who? What's To'eva? Mishkav Zachor. They said David was Mishkav Zachor. You won't believe with who? Are you buckled up? They said To'eva with, you're going to faint on the spot, Shalom. Where's Hatzalah? To'eva with, you know who wanted him? Goliath. Goliath wanted him for Mishkav Zachor. He was a good-looking boy. And Goliath, I guess, was Goliath, whatever. And they said, oh, so David is friendly with Goliath. Friendly? They were enemies. But when people want to blame, they blame. Don't worry. They don't have to be right or wrong.
They were cousins.
What? They were cousins. He was from Orpah and he was from Ruth. Very good, very good. Okay. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Omar. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, Ma nedaber uma nitztadok. This is the brothers talking to who? To Yosef. Yehuda specifically talking to Yosef, telling him, what can we say? Ma nitztadak. Literally, nitztadak means, how can we justify ourselves? They were apologetic. En chinami. All of us should be avodim. Okay? En chinami. The whole story with the Gavia, right? They found the Gavia by Binyamin. He said, okay, all of us will be avodim. We're not leaving Binyamin alone. So Lich'ayra, he was really apologizing. But really, he was hinting to the fact that they were good, that they were okay. But he didn't want to say to the Melech, Mefurish. He was apologizing while Meramez, hinting that they were really okay. And what did he say? Nechonim anachnu, tzadikim anachnu, tohirim anachnu, we're tzadikim, we're tohirim, dochim anachnu. Dochim is like Torah in Aramaic, I'm not sure what's the difference. Kedoshim anachnu. They say that Yosef hinted to them about all types of other issues that they had. Like Bilha, Tomor, he knew about it somehow, yeah? So it was like hinting to them, whatever, that they're not so holy. So they said, no, we are okay. They're hinting to that. I don't know how it fits into the 5 things, but there was, subtext over here going on, and that's Rosh Hashanah. Oh, beautiful piece of Agadata. Kufei Madalef, remember the name. Yeah, okay, very nice. Now, this Mishnah is going to be so easy because we saw it already. Now we're doing Chazorah on a familiar Mishnah. Remember, we'll flip back and forth. Zok the Heilige Mishnah. A Koisev, this is still about Koisev. A Koisev base oisios b'shtei helemois. A person writes 2 letters with 2 helemois. I will not translate helem again because you know it's helem, right? The person forgot achas shachis v'achas ben arbaim. We're going to see soon why we're talking about different times of day. But let's just imagine the following story. The person woke up in the morning, all he drank too much. Shabbos, I don't know, the kid, not kiddush, whatever, somewhere. He's sure that now is what? Is Sunday. He wakes up and he writes Aleph, okay? Then he remembers in the middle of the day. Afternoon, he again forgot. He did remember in the middle. Oh yeah, I wrote Aleph. Then what happens? Again, he forgot his Shabbos. And again, he wrote Beis. And again, he remembered. So you have two sections of two little compartments of Halem, each Halem period, and every Halem has knowledge before and after. Each Halem contains in it, imagine a bubble of Halem. Inside there's one letter, Aleph, and whatever, Beis, right? What's Alocha? Rabban Gamliel Mechaim. Says Rabban Gamliel, we're waiting for you at the end of the horizon. Since at the end of the day, you did remember both. You remembered the first one, forgot, then remembered again. But at the end of the day, you remembered the whole thing. Says Rabban Gamliel, Mister, bring a korban, please. You have to bring a korban. Why? Because although, I mean, the Gemara will say why. I'll leave it for the Gemara. The Chachamim poitrin. Chachamim say no. These are two helemos. Each one contains. I didn't stress it enough. Each helem contains one letter, which is not a full shear. That's the idea, of course. Each helem does not contain material to be mechayev. Each helem contains within it amount, which is a fraction of chiyuv, less than chiyuv. And that's the name of the game. No reason to just say anything, just go into the Gemara, and then I'll also explain something else for Tosfos. Zog the Gemara b'maikam miflagi. What's the argument over here? Why does Ramgulio say that the guy who has half a maisa here and half a maisa in the other helem, why does he say that you bring a korban? The Chacham say you don't. Very, very easy. Rabban Gamliel sova ein yediyah l'chatz shiur. And this appears in many times already we saw it before. Basically, what's the idea? Says Rabban Gamliel, listen, it's in my Torah it says, when Yediyah breaks between two Maisim, right? Yediyah breaks between Maisim and creates one Maisa that's Mechayiv Korban. Let's say I wrote two letters in the morning and forgot and remembered the dot, then two letters in the afternoon. I'll have to bring how many? Two. Why? Because the knowledge of Hoida Elef Chatosoy, the idea is not a factual idea, it's knowing that I really sinned a chait that requires a korban. If I know, the aha moment is not, it's Shabbos, therefore let's wear a tie. Aha, it's Shabbos, therefore I realize I made a full sin. That's the idea. Therefore, mister, when you had the idea, what did you realize? You realized you did half a malacha, which is not b'chayiv korban. If you realized that, what did you realize? Nothing halachic. I mean, it's usher. Nothing of a korban. You don't bring a korban one letter. So when you remembered and realized, I wrote, very nice you wrote, who cares? That idea doesn't make a halachic difference vis-a-vis korban. And therefore, I wish I had a chart here, but you can get without a chart. The idea between the 9 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, melts away, disappears. What happens when you have 1 in the morning, 1 afternoon, with no idea in the middle? It's one happy family of one helem. The divider between the two alemas is insignificant. Therefore, it doesn't exist. Therefore, at the end of the day, it's you have one elem. Because you did forget 9 o'clock in the morning, and you did remember 9 o'clock at night. The fact in the middle you had something else in the middle is irrelevant. Because it wasn't halachic knowledge, stam knowledge. You didn't know you have an entire thing. That's Rabban Gamliel's, now read it inside. It's not called knowing if I know I did half a shear, because half a shear is it's author, but it doesn't bring you a korban. I became aware that I sinned to the point of bringing a korban. That's Rabban Gamliel. So at the end of the day, there's no divider between them. So you don't have a divider, so what do you have? One big thing. Like the machzolos, the walls fall, you have one big house, right? The Rabbanon Savri, Rabbanon say no. The idea is not about bringing a korban. The idea is about awareness, knowing that I did a ma'isa, and that works both ways. With it, it's true of chatosoi, but it can also break the chatosoi. In other words, the idea works both ways. The idea means that there's an awareness, and now I know where I'm holding in general, both for the plus and for the minus. Yeah, the Torah prescribed that idea of yediyah, that if I know what's going on, then done, finished with number one. If I forget again, it's number two. And since according to Rabbanan, yediyah doesn't have to bring a korban. Yediyah means, where's my checks and balances? I got aware of Shabbos and Malachas. It's good enough for them. So according to Chachamim, each half a word, one letter here, one letter there, each one is boxed in a different yediyah. You don't have to bring a korban. You don't have one continuous thing. That Baruch Hashem. Now it's clearer now than last time. Now, Tosfos and Rashi, I wish I had time, but we don't. The next 2 years, Lemaisa, Tosfos says, why do you talk about Shachris and Ben Arbain? Let's say it was Shachris and 2 hours later. So Tosfos says that even though Rashi says something which Tosfos strongly disagrees with, Tosfos says at the end of the day that even if there's a lot of time that passed between the 2 ideas, so B'derech B'nei Adam, you wouldn't connect it to Maisim, Rabbi Gamliel still sees it as one Maisim. There are 2, not Shabbos and Chutz. I lived in a place where Shabbos went out, you also knew, yeah? Shabbos went out at 11 o'clock at night. I mean, in Lithuanian. 11 o'clock at night was of dollars, sometimes 11:30. I'm not exaggerating. Yeah, so you have a very long Shabbos. So now that Shabbos, in the morning you did the malacha, you remembered, you did 15,000 other things there, and the kids drove you crazy the whole Shabbos. And then you do something in the afternoon, then what? It's so far apart, right, in time, right? Could be a very, very long time. Plus, you have the idea in the middle. Still, Rabban Gamliel does connect them to be one Maisa. It's key to maximize the Chiddush of Rabban Gamliel. That's how Tosfos learns it. I'm not, one shot is enough, okay? Mazel tov, now we're Rabboine. Now we're talking about weaving on Shabbos. Thank you so much, Jason, for printing. I'm now showing it to our friends online. I'm showing you the loom. You have it, David, Reb David, and Reb Akiva. Thank you. So this is basically, it's not really how a loom looks like. Loom is called nul in Hebrew. But it does show you very much in detail what's going on here. It's like broken apart. Basically, you have, look at letter C, R, Q, that area. These are the Erev. The Erev, the weft, is what goes in and out very quickly between the what? Between the threads of the shti. The shti is a long one that goes all the way from number H, from letter H to number NCM, right? Side to side, the long ones is called the shti. The malacha of Masech is the malacha of setting the weft. Yeah, no, the warp. It's called the warp, the sheti. The sheti are the long ones. They are the ones who are the basis. Now, and then when you finally, I'm skipping a stage on purpose for a reason. When you actually weave, you do the malach of oireg. It's very noisy. You use, in the olden days, they would have pedals up and down. And look at those things in the middle, those nirim, those frames in the middle with the holes, they would quickly move up and down. And basically, the chutim, some of the threads of the warp would be up, some down, and they alternate up and down. While this is up and this is down, quickly the erev, the one who goes from right to left horizontally, goes inside, crisscross, and that's how you have a beged. Every beged we have is a lot of little crisscrosses, very, very tiny. Okay, very nice. What are those things in the middle? Let's focus now on those circles, those little loops in the middle. They're very important. They're called bate nirin. Yeah, the nir is that frame. Yeah, in which the threads have to go through. The bate nirin are little loops. Really, there are all types of them. This is just one example. Those loops you'd be called in Hebrew mashchil. You'd insert the shti through those little loops. Nowadays, they're very tiny and small. You put them in, and that putting in is not part of Mesech. It's an av melocha by itself called shtei bate nirin. If you work through the chut, through those holes, that seems to be part of Mesech, but it's a whole umnus by itself. It's like a stage in the melacha of weaving, of pre-weaving, and therefore you have a chiyuv called shtei bate nirin. The Tosfos read choylek. The Tosfos read, I remember seeing it when I learned it once in Koila a few times, and he says that creating the bate nirin, that's a melacha bate nirin, to make the loops. Yeah? This is, by the way, there were times which we had the word buchya, and we were not so clear about, I don't think it conveyed it well. The beginning of Perek HaZorek, look at the buchya, the shuttle. That buchya, look at R. In the big picture, it's called number R. Buchya in English, shuttle. Basically, the thread of the erev that flies back and forth is coiled inside that, looks like a hockey thing, like some kind of sports thing, yeah? And it's spindle in English. Spindle, okay, very good. And as it flies in, yeah, the chut, the thread, kilu, remains behind it, right? Like a kite. And it goes back and forth. Now, This is not enough. I'm just preparing you for everything we're going to see. Look at the thing called in number E, letter E. Yeah, 1 second. Let me find it here. Number E, you have kirus. You see the kirus? What's a kirus? You have a frame. You have 3 frames. 2 are the batanirin. Look at number E, hey in Hebrew. Kirus would be the thing that would push and press the Erev together with the Shti. Because imagine yourself, if you go back and forth, they're still very loose. You want it to be very, very well pressed, right? So the kirus would be a thing that would press every once in a while. I'm not sure exactly, I'm not a mumche, but the kirus would be something pressing, right? Against the Shti and Erev together, making sure that it's really tight. This was al regalachas, more or less, al tuiv, lilu nishmas avimori. Okay, now Beseder. Makes a lot of noise. These things are so noisy, it's unbelievable. Weiter. Now let's continue. Okay, now. Zog the Heilige Mishnah. Rabbi Lezer Oimer. Ha'oireg shlosh shechutin betchila, the achas ala orig chayev. Says Rabbi Lezer. What's the shi'ur of ariga? How many chutim? What's ariga? Basically, when you move the erev back and forth through the shti. That's ariga, right? How many times do you have to go back and forth in order to be chayev? Once, twice, 3 times, the whole beged? What? Says Rabbi Lezer Oimer, ha'oireg shlosh shechutin betchila. A person who starts off a new fabric, new piece of textile, and he did 3 of them, he's chayev. However, 3, not 2. The achatz al orig chayev. Let's say there's an existing orig already. We saw that before, and you add 1 chut of erev of weft on top of to add on the beged, you're chayev, because you're not creating new. To add on an existing thing, you're improving your chayev. You should know, I just said it to one of the, we're learning Shabbos in Yeshiva now. I said to one of the Talmidim, Rabbein, that in Shabbos you see many times, you have a malach of creation, sometimes a malach of improvement. Boine, what's boine? You collect things together, as we said once, and you create a house. So why is sweeping the floor in Shabbos and leveling the ground in the house is boine? I'm not building something new. But improving an existing binyan is also boine. Watering flowers, they're there already. I didn't plant them. I water them on the ground. It's a told of Zohar, according to some. Why? Because it's helping them improve. Yeah, many times of us mainly told us, are not when you create it, is when you help the process continue. It's also a type of, as I just proved to you. So our brother says, if you already have some orig and you add 1 on top of that, even 1 you already have. Okay? Says, Chachamim argue, they say, bein betchila, bein besoif, shiur beis chutin. Whether beginning or the end, it does make a difference. Whether you starting off or continuing, the shiur is standard, yekish, it's always 2 threads. Continues the Gemara. Oh, you create or you put in, you basically come, you bring through the threads either in the nirin. The nirin is the regular one. Are those number A and B? Yeah, you put them through those loops. Okay, or bakirus. Kirus is the one in the front, right? The one that pushes it. Sometimes there were types of nul that the kirus had double purpose. It would push and would also be the place for the chiltim. Not in this picture, you don't see it. Yeah, there would be both, and you chayev on that too. It's a different style. Now, benafa, bekvora, ubesal chayev. Nafa, kvora, and sal are more or less very similar. And then you should know, we saw that in Dafa in Helmut base, but I was in Chutzarts then, you saw it. Nafa, kvora, besal is as follows. You should know that when one creates a worker basket, what's av melacha? Everything to do with oirig. Oirig is not only about fabrics. Let's say you create a sal. Yeah, when I was a kid, I once went to such a workshop that taught us how to do it. What do? You create you take a lot of, bamboo shoots or whatever. You put them one next to the other. You're over mesech. Yeah, because you put them one next to the other in a very orderly fashion. Yeah, unbelievable. Yes, even if it's not on the thing. And then when you put one, you want to create a stable frame, you put one horizontal one through like that, in and out, the top and the bottom. That's called Shnei Batanirin. Yes, because the Batanirin, what do? They stabilize even more the basis of the thing of the nul of the ariga. You chayiv, and when you do many more, you chayiv an oirig. When you do the other ones, back and forth, the whatever the basket thing, you chayiv of because of oirig. We saw that actually in Daf and Dalad Amud Beis, if you remember. So not very nice. Va'toifer based tfiros va'koel manaslit for state tfiros. A person who does 2 stitches, yeah, he stitches twice, 2 stitches. Va'korea, a person who tears something in order to stitch better. You have, let's say, a beged which didn't come out nice. The seamstress doesn't like it. She tears it in order to stitch and sew another one. Two of them, you chayav. This is a big question because we saw this before already in the Mishnah. The Gemara will ask what's a chiddush. It's just copy and paste from Mishnah and Gimel Amud Aleph. The big Mishnah. Frag the Gemara. It says the Gemara. He also Rabbi Yitzchak Tani Stein. When Rabbi Yitzchak came, he said 2. In other words, his girsa was 2, meaning when he spoke about Rabbi Lezer, he said that according to Rabbi Lezer, when you start off a new fabric, you chayiv, even if you did only 2 weft chutim, you chayiv 2. Frag the Gemara v'anan tanan gimel, we see 3. Is it 2 or 3, right? Everyone agrees that Rabbi Lezer says if you add 1 on an existing, you chayiv. But the machlokes is, did Rabbi Lezer say 2 or 3? Loi kasha, no worry. It's not difficult, and there's no disagreement here, no machlokes. Habe alimi, v'habe ktini. Depends if the threads of the weft are big, alim, violent. Alim, they are strong, they are thick, or ktini, they are thin. What's the difference? Amrila lehagisa, v'amrila lehagisa. In other words, some people say that when is it 2? When is it enough to have 2? When they're small threads? And some say that for big threads, you have to make 2. The Gemara will explain everything. Amrila lehagisa, let's start with number 1. Alimi, if you have big ones, right? Big, thicker, like wool, thicker kind of threads. Tloso loy sasri, trei sasri. When something is thick, it doesn't stick together so well, right? The difference between a white shirt and, let's say, some woolen fabric, right? Like a sweater. Those that are thin, they stick together much more. And therefore, dafka, when you have the thick one, 3, you need 3 for them to stick together. When you only have 2 thick chutim together, they don't stick together. They sasser, they will unravel right away. And you're not chayiv then. On the other hand, ktini, if it's ktini, if you talk about what? About the small ones, even 2, you're already chayiv, because 2 stick together very nicely. They're tight. Some people say the other way around. Dini, the small ones, the small threads, 3 are noticeable, are significant. 2 are not significant. It's not allowed, but not chayiv because it's cleaner. It's nobody really sees 2 little tiny ones. You don't see that. Alimi, but if they're thick, people can see them. They're more significant. You're already chayiv when you do 2. Don't write at home. Don't do 2, neither when it's small or big. Tanya says a brisa. We have to finish soon. Finish over. I don't know what to do. We'll continue tomorrow. Tanya, a person who, what we're going to do now is to show a brisa that supports Rabbi Lezer. A person who weaves gimel chutin betchila, starting off with 3, or dechad al orig, chayav. The common opinion, the first opinion mentioned with no name is Rabbi Lezer. 3 to begin with, and 1 to finish off. The Chachamim omrim, ben betchila, ben besof, shiur beis chutin. Chachamim say we don't care. Beginning and middle, it's always 2 chutim. Okay, ubasofo. Okay, I'll continue a little bit. Ubasofo beis chutin berochav gimel batenirin. Let me explain. Sometimes people at the end of the fabric, they would have like a different color, different style of frame, like a hem would be different. And there, because it's choshuv, it has its own style, its own color, its own thing. Therefore, there, even if you weave much less than accepted, yeah, you only did 2 chutim with a width of 3 batenirin. That's 3 threads. It's 3 threads over 2. That size, finish, even less, very small. You're already chayiv. The chiddush is that the size of a riga mitzad width has to be like that. 2 fingers or 2 fingers like that. That's much less. Why you chayev? Because that area has chashivus of its own. Shiurim is all about chashivus. Because that's a side with a different color, different hem, it has its own chashivus. What is it like? Cotton. Let's say you weave a small belt. Small but very nice. It's a belt, a fashion item by itself. Beis chutin, yeah, you do 2, but they're important. They are a little gartel by itself. Over 2 chutim, you're already chayev. We requote the beginning of the brisa, and we say, you see, 3 to begin with, and 1 as continuation, you're chayev. And it's not brought down with anyone's name. It's brought down as anonymous. That is to say, that Stam Mishnah follows Rabbi Eliezer. When you don't mention the name of a Tana, means he's the thing. He's the authority. Now we'll bring tomorrow another brisa that seems to say halachas like chachomim. I really have to finish now. Thank you to everyone on YouTube, Torah Anytime, and mainly to you guys who came here. Thank you for printing the sheets. It's really nice of you. Shkoyach, thank you very, very much.